Hey everybody, I have some exciting news to share with you. Here at Rock Harbor, we are going to be hosting a prophecy conference on October 4th. It's a Saturday, and it's going to be right here in Bakersfield at Rock Harbor Church. And we're going to have a prophecy conference about the apostasy of the church. But we're not only going to talk about what's going on in a negative way in the church and how the church is losing its grip with the culture and not contending for the faith. We're going to talk about ways in which we as individual Christians can re-engage in the fight and battle through what's happening not only in the West but around the world. And so we're going to have a great cast of speakers and some top-notch guys that I have lined up, and they're going to have a one-day shot of not only exposing what's going on, but equipping us in, okay, what can I do to be salt and light? How can I go about confronting this that I see in my churches, that I see in my community, that the church is not doing and the pastors are not doing? We are having a leadership deficit. And so we hope from this conference to encourage many people at the grassroots level to take ownership and say, hey, look, will you be able to take out the truth and contend for the faith, be salt and light, because the churches are not doing it anymore. The pastors are not doing it anymore. So it comes down to our responsibility. And so that's what we're geared up for. And it's going to be great. You're going to be blessed, and you're going to walk away fully equipped to be able to handle this culture. And so hopefully mark down your calendars that hopefully you can attend in person, but if not, we'll have a live stream for anyone that can't make it. And it will, either way, it'll be a blessing for you. So mark the date, October 4th. It's a Saturday here in Bakersfield, California at Rock Harbor Church. Hope to see you then. This is a concerning topic, obviously, for Bible students with not only Israel, but the digital currency, the digital identification issue that the Bible predicts. And what happened was the UK is trying to launch this. And here is Starmer, who everyone cannot stand in the UK. He's like the worst ratings for a prime minister they've ever seen. But anyway, listen to him.
We need to be really clear. You must have ID, mandatory digital ID, in order to work, because we have to stop illegal working. It is an automatic collection of the information by the government, so we know exactly who is working in our economy, and it will help us enforce the rules that are there. But I made a pledge that we would do whatever was necessary, use whatever tools were available to deal with illegal migration. I intend to do so.
So let me get this straight. We're going to implement a digital identification because of illegal workers. Well, maybe if you didn't have illegal immigrants or illegal aliens in your country, you wouldn't have to worry about this. But the problem is the UK opened their doors wide open to mass Muslim immigration, which is basically taking over their country. And they're in the throes of a civil, getting ready for a civil war. And so Starmer, he's got to be the dumbest guy on the planet to say, I'm going to solve a problem that I created. Why don't you lock up your borders? Why don't you stop the Muslim immigration? And then you wouldn't have a problem with illegal workers or anything like that. But anyway, this is the ridiculousness of the UK. So along with this, with them proposing a digital identification, the UK National Health Services comes out and says there's an economic advantage of cousin marriage. Do you know why they're saying this, right? Who's in the picture? Oh, that's some Irish people right there. Sorry, I got the wrong picture. Because Islam won't stop marrying their cousins. So now they're going to say it's an economic advantage to marry your cousin. Hey man, we stopped that nonsense back in 1500 BC when you don't marry your cousin because of inbreeding. But they apparently keep doing it. And so this is the problem the UK has, right? UK population continues to rise at record levels with migrants arrivals making it up to 98% of its growth. Muslims. Okay? So this guy wants to introduce a digital identification because they've got all these illegals running around working and they don't know who they are. And so at least some of the British people, the UK people are pushing back. This is one of the petitions. I don't know what the petition's up to now. It's at 2.4 million. Parliament has to consider all petitions of 100,000 signatures for debate. So this is going to have to go to debate because there's so many people pushing back on this. But they're this close to losing their culture, and of course they're protesting this identification card thing, and it's basically the digital identification will be on their phone. That's how it's going to be, and that's what they're proposing. Now Switzerland, and you shouldn't be shocked by this. They're going to introduce a digital identification. And basically, after a razor-thin referendum, they passed it like 51, something like that. So they voted for it. So they're going to get a digital identification. So anyway, opponents have also warned that digital IDs could be the beginning of an all-encompassing surveillance state. Yeah, I think so. Which could be used to punish government critics or dissidents. Yeah, that's the idea, right? Proponents have noted that it will be an optional system, that the government authorities and private firms which use the system will be prohibited from obtaining information than is needed from the digital ID card. Yeah, right. All my information will be on there. You don't think someone's going to tap into that? Oh, they're going to be prohibited. Don't worry, we got you. Yeah, right. Sure, I believe you. But this has been going on with Europe, and they've been wanting this. The future of money. European Central Bank unveils plans for digital euro, CBDC, to be introduced next year. Great Reset. World Economic Forum pushes cashless societal central bank digital currencies. They're all on this ticket. So, as you know, this is the stage setting, right? A digital identification. Yeah, it's on the phone, but it's a stage setting. Because if you have a digital identification, what's going to be attached to that is a digital currency, right? And then obviously in Revelation, this is the end goal for this. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead. And that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. So you know this passage very well. And even I was, like I said, I was with Billy Crone this last weekend, and Billy, in his presentation, showed the latest news on Bill Gates, saying, look, Bill Gates wants to put tattoos on us that has all of our digital information on the tattoo. And guess where they want to put it? Right on your forehead or right on your hand. So it could either be, the little thing they put inside of you, or it could be on you. The funny thing about this, that it says no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast, and the mark is on the right hand or on the forehead. The way the Greek is, it can go both ways in the Greek. It can mean on the hand or in the hand. It can mean both, the way you can interpret it. The funny thing is, they have both mechanisms. They have a mechanism to put it inside of you with the RFID chips, and they have a mechanism, as Bill Gates just came out, with a tattoo that can go right on your hand and right on your forehead. And Billy showed that, and that was just recently, Bill Gates came out with that. So it satisfies both aspects of the mark of the beast. Now, again, what's the prophetic template here? Well, here's what we have. What you're seeing in Revelation. A global regime enforces worship and controls buying and selling via the mark, tied to the beast's number. Okay, that's in the future. And so receiving this mark in the future is a spiritual act of allegiance and has eternal consequences. You take the mark of the beast, not right now, but in the tribulation, according to Revelation 14, you're doomed to hell. You take the beast's mark. Okay, that means you're worshiping the beast at that point. It's not now, but that's in the future. 2 Thessalonians, Daniel 7, Daniel 8, Daniel 11 talks about deception, the blasphemous rule of the beast empire, and basically the coercive of control increases near the end. So we should expect more deception, more coercive control using technology. Okay? And here's the thing. The Bible's not against technology per se, like I mentioned on this. But it's about using technology for total control, right? And compulsory allegiance. That's what it's going after. That's what the Bible said is coming. Okay? So what's the plausible path then? So the UK implements this. Switzerland is implementing it. Do you think it's eventually going to come here? Of course. So here's what you have. This is the path, possibly. You have a unique state-issued digital identifier for adults, and you have to do this in order to work or to rent. Okay? The right to work and the right to rent. Okay? That's where it starts. And then you have a single sign-on to the state. So daily life requires frequent checks. Employment, services, benefits, that type of thing. The scope of it can expand to functional creep. Civil liberties organizations warn this joins up with government records and normalizes consistent ID presentation. So you can see that, okay, you need this to work. Then you need this to rent. Then you need this for your medical. Then you need it for insurance or whatever. It just keeps creeping. It keeps moving as people start implementing this all over. The smartphone wallet model will be what comes out first. The digital credential is in the app. That's how it works. It's centralized. It's updatable. Its status is in real time. Work eligibility, benefits, immigration flags were all in real time on your phone. Then it moves to payment stack convergence. UK is in an active design phase for digital pound, the CBDC. Regulators also warming to stable coins, linking ID to wallet to payments, making access conditional. So that's the idea, is if you don't have access to the platforms, you can't do business. And then you have what we call international interoperability. And what that means is the EU's IDAs 2.0 is rolling out digital ID wallets by 2026. That's next year, by the way. Okay? Nudging toward cross-border standardizations a future regime could harness. So what they're wanting to do is they're wanting a digital identification for all of Europe. And then eventually to centralize that with a digital currency. And that's where this is going. So it's international. Well, look. You're one regime, one administration away from some liberal, some leftists in politics here saying that's a great idea. We need to implement that in the United States. I mean, imagine Kamala being in power right now. Would she be for this? Oh, totally. Absolutely. You know she would. You know, that's how close we dodged a bullet, right? This election. And then what you start having is enforcement by code. So you have the status of non-compliant, okay? So access to work, access to housing, access to services, and eventually payments can be flipped off, turned off completely. And that's the mechanics of Revelation 13:17. So that's what happens. They just shut you down. You can't do anything. You're outside the system. So what do? You can't buy food, you can't buy gas, that's the idea. So you have enforcement code. And that becomes a social credit score along with that you're non-compliant, right? You don't go along. So this is not the mark, obviously. The mark only comes in the 7-year tribulation, so we're going to be gone by then. We're going to be raptured. We're not going to be here for this. But what we're trying to show you is the system is getting set up. And these idiots, I mean, when I say idiots, I'm talking fools, biblical fool idiots, think this is great. And what it's going to do is take away every freedom people have. The freedom to be able to, what you buy, how you run your air in your house, everything will be completely controlled by them. Now, these people, the elites, have the God complex. They want to control all of it because they think they're smarter than everybody else and we're a bunch of dummies. And they want to do that. And so they think this is a great idea. Most people, if they don't have a biblical framework to work from, think this is a great idea. Why? Well, let me explain. Here's some biblical concerns. People that don't have a biblical framework are willing to trade their freedoms for safety. That's the problem. Second, totalizing state control over commerce and conscience is a problem. Idolatrous allegiance tests. When access to life's necessities demands pledges that compromise faith, believers must refuse. Remember, we already been through this. You can't work unless you're vaccinated. We already been through this, right? So what if it was on your digital identification that you're non-compliant, right? You go into a store, you're non-compliant, it goes off. You can't come in, sir. You can't come in, sir, because you're non-compliant. Your identification is not working. Then you have a false security in princes and systems, trusting technocratic guarantors over God. Deception is going to be at scale. Central platforms amplifying strong delusion, keeps going out, keeps doing this, keeps getting bigger. And then you have what's called mark-like conditioning. What is Satan doing? He is not only setting up his stage for the Antichrist, he is conditioning humans to eventually accept the mark of the beast. He's normalizing it. Normalizing scans, normalizing digital, normalizing passes, normalizing status checks, all that stuff. All that is normalizing this for eventually when he says, take my mark and you can't buy and sell, people will say, sign me up. I'll be fine with that. So if this goes down in next year in Europe, it's going to catch fire. And you're going to see a lot of the Europeans go this direction in digital identification. And then you're going to see the marrying of the digital currency with it as well. Okay? You better pray to God that Trump stays in as long as he can, or someone that gets in the next election is as conservative as Trump and keeps us from doing this. Because if we go in this direction, our freedoms are gone. They're gone. Because once you can't get access to things, man, let's say you try to, we already saw it, you weren't vaccinated, so they wouldn't do surgeries on you. Remember that? Well, you're not vaccinated. We had somebody in our church needed a transplant, and the hospitals here refused to do it because they weren't vaccinated. That's scary, because that means you could die, and they don't care. Well, you're not vaccinated, sir. And it's just, you saw inklings of that before, and now it's going to be tied to whatever's on your phone. And I can tell you this. How do you think it goes from the phone to your body? Because that's where it's going. What is going to make it, people say, well, let's pretend this is your phone. All my digital identification's on here. And they're like, what's going to be the reason? So you know what? This is really not working. We need to put it on your hand or your forehead. What would cause that? What do you think? Ease of use? Is it convenience? Or would it be for security? Peace and safety, right? So I want you to think about it. It's going to eventually transfer because they're going to start it on your phone. That's where it's all going to be. It's going to be on your phone. But eventually it transfers from the phone to your body. I have a funny hunch. The way it transfers over is because there's not enough security, because it's going to be hacked so many times by people. Your phones and stealing your digital identification, they're going to say, we can't keep doing this because people keep stealing people's identity. So here's what we're going to do. And this will foolproof people stealing your identity. We'll put it on your body and it's yours. And so no one can ever hack you and steal your identification. And guess what people will say? Sign me up. I was hacked and I lost my identification. I was hacked and I lost all my money in my bank. I was hacked because someone stole my phone. So they'll say, no problem. sir, we'll just put it on your body. You'll never have it, your identification stolen again. Sign me up. Sign me up. That's what they'll do. Because people are so stupid, they are willing to give away freedoms for peace and security. Every time. Every time they will do that. So, again, what we're watching is the stage setting. Holy smokes, you're that close. You're that close, my friends. Thank God we don't have to be here when that all goes down for that, right? Amen. Let's pray. Father, thank you, Lord, for what we can understand.